Hello, Frugivore. Welcome back to another episode. I've got my smoothie here and we're about to debunk the glucose goddess for the second time. The first video I made, Glucose Goddess Fail, the savory breakfast, don't eat this. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. You don't have to watch it first in order to watch this video, but I definitely recommend watching that one as well. So let's get into it. This is by Vogue France, How to Avoid Glucose Spikes, Glucose Goddess Answers, Wellness Check, Vogue France. So she's showing what she eats in a day.
I'm completely addicted to coffee. I try to quit every 2 days, but I can't. It's just too good.
What?
I'm sorry, I just have to include that again. I know we covered it in the last video, but my goodness, it just shows that her diet plan, her recommendations don't work. They're inadequate. She needs drugs after her breakfast. See, her breakfast should have fueled her sufficiently, but she's straight to the coffee shop for the burnout brew because the woman is burnt out. You know, she needs to have the drugos, and that is just a pure sign that she has an inadequate diet. Not enough sugar, right?
What is your coffee order today?
My coffee order is flat white with full fat dairy milk. And I hate this idea that
Wow, she's still drinking cow lactation in 2025. My goodness.
oat milk is good for you for some reason. Oat milk is just starch juice. It's like drinking a coffee with pasta milk or rice milk. It's a nightmare for your glucose levels.
No, it's not. No, it's not a nightmare for your glucose levels. It's perfectly easily tolerated. It's just exactly glucose. The problem comes when you add fat and you've got this cow lactation. I mean, I find it really quite bold and quite rich for her to be saying that, you know, she's literally drinking like a hormone shake from a cow and she's saying that oat milk is a problem. You know, this is raising the IGF-1, the cholesterol. It's full of hormones that screw with your own hormones. Anyway, ridiculous.
Now, if you want to have something that's not dairy, I recommend almond milk or coconut milk, unsweetened always. So check the back of the package and make sure there's no extra added sugar in there.
It's so crazy that she's trying to cut the sugar so much. Be careful of the sugar. Be careful of the sugar. Meanwhile, every cell in your body runs on it. Every cell in your body and your brain is running on the sugar, and Glucose Goddess is saying, cut out the sugar. Oh my gosh, avoid the sugar. The opposite is true. You should be going in on the sugar. You should be going in on the high carbohydrate foods because, hello, you run on it.
And what about what's behind you?
All those delicious little pastries. If you can't resist, it's always better to choose a savory pastry over a sweet one. If I had to choose here something, I would have the cheddar scone over there. But
Oh, wow. Hormonal mold cake. She wants that little hormonal mold scone. She thinks that's a good idea, that wartime cheesy. Oh, my goodness. Okay, sure.
if you really want this very tasty cookie, here's what you do. You buy it now, but you eat it for dessert after your lunch. That's another hack. Remember, never have sugar on an empty stomach.
Never have sugar on an empty stomach. So she's saying don't have fruit. Don't have a smoothie. These are things that are bad for you, even though your body runs on the sugar. See how it's not making sense? You just need to bring this to a logical conclusion, right? If your body runs on sugar, then sugar is good. You need that. What becomes a problem is if you eat like she's recommending with this like cheddar cheesy thing, which also includes carbohydrates in the form of, flour, probably has some sugar as well. This is actually going to linger in your bloodstream longer. I call it glucose drag. So when you consume this lactation brick thing, hormonal, hand grenade, it's going to, sure, your blood sugar might be a little bit more flattened because it has that fat, extra fat and protein in there, which delays the gastric emptying. It delays it coming out of your stomach. But what happens is it ends up staying elevated, your blood sugar, for longer because the fat and the protein is delaying everything. So then you're exposed, glycation, you're exposed to the sugar longer. It's not that sugar is the problem, but sugar likes to go in and out. It doesn't like to be interfered with, it doesn't like to be delayed. So we're going to talk more about this.
Only as dessert after a meal for a smaller spike, and so you can feel better.
You don't want a smaller spike. No, you don't. You want a spike. Spike the fuck up. There you go. I invented a new term. Spike the fuck up. Let's do it.
Welcome to
And I'm just not going to say anything about her fashion, except for that.
lunch. I'm having lunch at a restaurant and I
Has she got like 2 eyeballs on her jacket? Like 2 of those like little eyeballs you see on a like toys? I'm not sure.
want to show you exactly how I pick what I'm going to eat. So
I am so nervous about lunch.
the first thing I look at on a menu is the starters. I'm looking for a starter that is vegetable based because vegetables contain fiber.
Yes, fiber is great.
And it's important to start your meals with fiber to protect your body against glucose spikes. And the reason being,
So she's saying to start your meals with fiber. Okay, which I mean, it's great to have all your meals with fiber. You should be eating fiber all the time. So you mean dairy, 0 fiber. Just remember that. A fruit-based diet just works. I've been on the internet for many years. Here's the past 14 years consistently on the internet showing you my results, staying slim the whole time without caffeine, calorie restriction, no excessive exercise, and you can get similar results yourself. You can start transforming today with my 12-month course, my fruit-based books. It works. There's a link in the description below. Stop procrastinating and get on the high fruit, high sugar diet.
fiber creates a sort of protective mesh in your intestine when you eat it first during a meal. And that protection stays in place and reduces the glucose spike of the rest of the meal.
What? So she's saying that eating the vegetables first creates some protective mesh in your intestines and it stays in place and it just protects you from everything else you eat and keeps the glucose down. That's an interesting theory, but no, okay? Like when you're eating, it's not just layering up like a lasagna. Okay, the food order. It's not just layering up like a lasagna, especially if you're eating it at a restaurant because it's all mixing together. It's all mixing together in there. Yes, fiber is great. It can slow digestion in a healthy way, in a normal, healthy manner, yes. But you do not want to reduce the glucose spike. You want to spike because that's how your cells get fuel. That's how you get energy to the brain, to the muscles, to all your cells. And you want the fuel, right? The fuel is important. But if you are delaying your fuel, then you're actually exposing your body longer to the sugar. This is something you need to understand, like with glycation.
Always looking for veggies first. Then for my main, I'll choose whatever protein that I'm fancying.
Hang on, do you mean whatever animal protein? Are you talking about an animal? I think you are. It's really sad that animals have been reduced to protein. Like, that's what people call them now. Protein. I'm going to have some protein. It's just so they can feel less guilty in the back of their mind, even if they don't realize about actually taking an animal's life for no reason.
That day, I think today I'm going to have some fish. And then, because
Some heavy metals, PCBs, environmental pollutants, all up in there.
I love carbs, I go to the side dishes and
I love carbs. You heard her. Yes, we all love carbs for a reason because the body is running on them. So it's not that complex.
I pick some nice tasty carbs, maybe the mashed potatoes here, that I will have after the veggies and after the protein at the end of the meal to get.
Gosh, all of this micromanaging, right? Just to have a meal. It's just like have this at the end of this and this in between here. And just, gosh, she's really creating a lot of ED in humans, that's for sure. How about you just stick with your natural diet, a fruit-based diet, and you don't have to be worrying so much. Fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, there you go.
All the enjoyment from them, but reduce their glucose spike.
Look, you don't want to be reducing the glucose spike, okay? I know I will go on like a broken record until everybody gets it. You want to go up and down. You want to spike the fuck up, okay? You don't want to be doing this like, this flattening the curve. Flat lines are rarely associated with life. Right? Think about flatlining. No, you want to be spiking because that's when the insulin comes along and it helps the sugar into the cell. And then it's a clean process. That's how it's meant to work. Trying to flatten the glucose curve is like trying to stop your heart rate from rising when you're exercising. It makes no sense at all. This is how it's meant to work. This is how it's meant to work. So her premise is the opposite. She's completely confused and wrong, but I think it's deliberate too. I think it's deliberate.
Oh my God. This is the worst way to start my meal. If you start your meal with bread being 100% starch, all that glucose in the starch is going to go straight to your bloodstream and create a big glucose spike.
Yes, bread is a starchy food and it breaks down to glucose molecules. This is what you want. This is what fuels your body. Fructose in there is obviously good to have that as well because fruit is your natural food and fruit always comes with fructose and glucose. So that is an even more favorable blood sugar response. But your body can handle the white bread. That sugar is going into the cell. It's actually not bad at all, but people add excess fat and protein, and then that slows down the rate at which the glucose goes into the bloodstream, and and we have this glucose drag. That's what I call the glucose drag, where it drags out that response. So your body is actually being exposed to the glucose, the sugar, longer because you're delaying the entry into the cell with all this fat and protein because you've got this lipid lock activated where the excess fat is locking the glucose out of the cell, blocking that energy from getting in the cell. So it's actually better. She's got it opposite again. It's better to have the bread first, okay? But when you're in this restaurant environment, it's all going to mix together anyway, so it's not going to make a big difference, okay? But if you want to really be objective here, having it first and you have a chance to digest it before you slow it down with the extra fat and protein. Hopefully that makes sense.
Theory going on in restaurants, because if I was a restaurant owner and I wanted somebody to 90 minutes after they start eating really want to have something sweet, I would serve them bread first.
It's because they're hungry if they really want to have something sweet because the cells are screaming out for glucose.
Bread first, big spike, 90 minutes later, crash.
No, but see, this is the thing. When she says crash, that's just the blood sugar coming back to baseline, okay? Coming back to what it was before. Hopefully, because unless you've got lipotoxicity and issues like that related to too much fat in your bloodstream and in your cells, but we can get to that later. All you have to do is eat more. If you have one piece of bread, of course, you're just going to get a spike. It's going to come down. That just means you need to eat more food for that meal. It's not a crash. It's like you didn't get enough calories.
And then I want to order dessert. So keep the bread for after the main dish.
No, don't listen to her.
To reduce its glucose spike. As my
Again, you don't want to reduce the spike.
veggie starter, I got the tomatoes.
Hang on a second. It's not a vegetable. And so she's got tomatoes. So she's got a fruit, which has sugar in it. And it's like got cheese on it as well. So she basically, it looks like she's got oil. There's oil, cheese. This isn't just vegetables. It's not vegetable at all. It's a fruit and it's got oil and cheese, which is going to slow the absorption.
And you might wonder, are tomatoes really appropriate for a veggie starter? Aren't tomatoes super sweet and high in sugar? The answer is yes. I mean, in the
They are not high in sugar. They are not. It's a tomato.
big family of vegetables, and I know tomatoes are a fruit, but I put them in the vegetable category.
Yeah, why don't you want to say fruit? See, she doesn't want to say a fruit starter. That's very, very interesting. Don't you find that interesting? It's clearly a fruit. I actually wore a continuous glucose monitor over the past 14 days, and I'll show you my results here. My estimated HbA1c was 5, which is just pretty perfect. 5 to 5.2 I like. 5.4, probably the cutoff. It's great. My average blood sugar was like 5.3%. You can have a look. I'll put it on the screen. It was excellent. That's after 14 days of high sugar diet.
So in the big category of veggie starters, tomatoes are a bit sweeter than, say, broccoli or salad, but they're still so high in fiber that they have that same protective effect. So if you love tomatoes, tomatoes are a great veggie starter.
It's a fruit starter. Let's call it what it is. It's a fruit starter, but she's not even having a fruit starter. She's having fruit. She's having oil with it, and she's having cheese with it. So her whole theory is just ridiculous. And she's just a walking contradiction. Okay, now the mercury cat food.
Lovely, thank you. So this order of veggies first, then proteins and fats, and then carbs is really easy to reproduce. But you should only do it when it's easy, not if you're having a sort of mixed meal or something that's complicated to spread out.
You're having a mixed meal. Everybody's having a mixed meal. When people are eating, when they're having it at the restaurant especially, I don't know, she's just not making a lot of sense for me.
And this evening, for example, for my friends, I'm going to be reusing this same food order to reduce the spike of the meal. So remember, veggies first, then proteins and fats, then carbs and sugars. And that way, you can eat all the stuff you love with less impact on your glucose levels, fewer consequences on your physical and mental health.
All right, what you need to know is your body needs sugar. Your body needs carbohydrates. It needs those carbs in order to fuel you, for you to feel good. And what the problem comes along when the carbs are actually delayed. The sugar is delayed in getting into your cell and fueling you. And how that happens is when people add fat, excess protein, doing things, hacks like she says, that actually causes this glucose drag. So the glucose is dragging in the bloodstream too long. And then that causes all sorts of issues, candida issues, insulin resistance, diabetes. Eventually, it causes a whole lot of problems for people. So this is a diabetes diet that she's recommending. That's the irony of it, okay? And it's going to actually keep insulin circulating in the bloodstream much longer than you want, because if your blood sugar is elevated, like if you've got this mountain, the flattened curve, but it stays, the area under the curve is larger, okay? It's larger than if you go up and then you come down. You want that short rise, you want that spike, and that means the sugar is getting into the cell. But if it is prolonged and that area under the curve is longer, that's actually meaning that your body is being exposed to sugar for a longer period of time. Glycation, look up glycation. That's what you actually are getting more of because the sugar is in the bloodstream too long. It's not that sugar is dangerous for you or anything like that. It's just designed to go in, fuel you quickly. It's not designed to linger in the bloodstream. And because humans are eating incorrectly now for their species as a frugivore, then we see all these issues. Sugar consumption has actually decreased by 30%, but the actual diabetes is skyrocketing. Obesity and diabetes continues to rise as the sugar is plummeting. So that's just a sign that sugar is not the cause of diabetes. You don't have to worry about the sugar. If you've got lipotoxicity, if you've got excess fat in your cells and in your bloodstream as well from your fatty diet, that's going to cause a problem. So you will handle the sugar better as the weight comes down, as the fat leaves your body and your cells. And the way to do that is eat a fruit-based diet like I recommend. And in my 12-month course, we talk all about it. I show you exactly how to do it. We've got nearly 9 months of solid content. All the information you need to change your life and to actually start managing your blood sugar properly and not continuing to create a problem.
Bon appétit! And a new hack I've recently added to the beautiful family of hacks is to take a little anti-spike capsule before the meal of your day highest in carbs.
Wow, here we go. This is what it's all about. This is it, folks. Her anti-spike supplements, her snake oil. She's got it here, right? She's a good one, isn't she? Create the problem, the glucose spike, which is just not a problem, right? And now she's got, look, she just looks dodgy too. I caught her on a good still frame there. And then create the solution. Bring the solution here. You've got to have my anti-spike. You need my pills. And I've actually heard of her anti-spike supplement before, and people actually saying they're not even receiving it. It's not working. Of course, it's just rubbish. You don't want to dampen the spike. You don't want to reduce the spike. Anyway, snake oil.
These plants in anti-spike are the most powerful to help your glucose levels short-term and long-term. So I should have done this before my lunch, but I didn't because I was talking.
Yeah, because it doesn't even matter. See, she didn't even do it when you meant to do it. She doesn't even care. It's just, she doesn't even take it herself. That's the reality. That's why she forgot, because she doesn't even take it herself. It's just about money. It always has been.
Oops.
But how is it possible to reproduce a body mechanism with pills?
So anti-spike is not trying to reproduce anything. It's an extra helping hand to reduce the spike of your meal. And the way it works is that anti-spike has mulberry leaf in it. And mulberry leaf contains a really cool molecule called DNJ.
Now she's trying to get all sciencey and Look, I'm just going to confuse you now so you think it's really cool and it works with some big words.
And D&J interacts with your digestive enzymes and prevents your body from absorbing about 40% of the glucose in the meal you're about to have.
Oh, great. So now you're 40% more starved. Fantastic. This is exactly what you don't want, induced malabsorption. I mean, blocking sugar doesn't fix the problem. It is the problem. She is creating the problem and presenting you with her snake oil solution. That's all this woman is doing. Wow.
And you can add anti-spike to your other hacks. It works perfectly in concert. Now it is time for our post-meal power walk.
Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for now, and we're going to do the other one in another video because I just wanted to go through in detail. It makes no sense. This is what's meant to happen. The blood sugar's meant to rise, your heart rate's meant to rise. And, it's not a problem for your body. The problem comes in when you add the excess fat, the excess protein, when you have lipotoxicity, excess fat in your cells from eating that way. All right, so you need to get the fat out and you need to bring the protein down. You don't want to delay your digestion. Delaying digestion is the opposite of what you want to do. You want quick digestion. You want the fuel to get in the cells quickly. If you need to go to the toilet, you don't want to, go all around like a maze or something, go like a long way to go to the toilet. You want to just go straight there, right? You don't want to be interrupted on your way to the toilet. You don't want it to be a slow process for you getting from where you are to the toilet, if that makes sense. So please try to avoid the glucose drag by eating a clean, fruit-based diet, high-carb, plant-based diet. Reduce the fat. This is a way. This works. It's a kind diet. It's kind to you. It's kind to your body. Don't listen to these snake oil salespeople trying to get you on their supplements. If you want to learn more about how to actually eat in line with your species as a frugivore, then check out my 12-month course. We're up to nearly the end of month 9. There's 9 months of amazing content in there, and you are going to absolutely love it because it's going to change your life. And then you're going to understand why you should eat the way you eat, and you can explain it to others. Don't forget to go through it yourself. I'll see you next video.